I had these shoes, and I started doing my cross-country training in them. And I started learning how to run on my toes, on the ball of my feet. For my cross-country races, I realized that, while these shoes are great, the problem is they're very slippery. When cross-country races are out on like golf courses, they're on wooded trails, and so you need some more traction. So what I did was I took these shoes, I took my drill, and I drilled a couple holes in the shoe. And I put screws into my shoe with little needles on the end, and that allowed me to run on a cross-country course, through the grass or on a golf course, let's say, and really have that traction, but still run in an efficient way. Invention sometimes isn't these massive changes, it's the small tweaks that people make. And when you put all those tweaks together, that's when you have a really big change. When I was a sophomore in college, I spent the summer in the UK at this place called the Sports Technology Institute. One of the projects I worked on was with a British Paralympian. So his name is Ben Rushgrove. He's actually my age, he's about 24, and he has a condition called cerebral palsy. Right here, we have our calf muscles, right? So our calf muscles are what allow us to stay up on our toes. But his nervous system, it doesn't tell his calf muscle to pull up there. So what actually happens is he collapses down like this. So what our goal was to really rethink how we could design Ben's racing shoe. This engineering process, it's all about understanding, again, how our human body works and using that as inspiration to create a better shoe. This is an engineering process called strain analysis. You put the speckle pattern all over the foot. And we use these cameras, these special cameras that can see how that pattern stretches. And so what we're seeing here is this shows us right here in the arch of the foot, that's where there's a lot of skin that's stretching, and that's where the arch is collapsing. And so that's how we know that's an area that we need to focus on when we're designing the shoe. When you're inventing, it's really important to prototype. What a prototype is, it's a very simple model, and it allows you to test different things. So this was actually just made out of some strips of tape, actually, and pieces of paper. Very simple, but it allowed us to really test out some different concepts, figure out, should we be putting the strap right here, or should we be moving it forward, and figuring out what works best with the shoe. The next part of what we were designing is what's called an orthotic. We scanned Ben's foot using a 3D scanner. We made a model of Ben's foot. And understanding this, the podiatrist was able to create the perfect design for an orthotic for him. So the reverse side of this actually is formed to Ben's foot to make him stand in the right position. But then on the outside, it's got all the spike wells. Here's an actual version of it printed out. We've used a lot of different techniques here. One was we looked to nature again to figure out inspiration. We used engineering analysis, so we used strain analysis. That was one thing, to understand how our skin was stretching, how our tissue is moving around. We used 3D scanning. And then we used prototyping techniques like 3D printing to quickly create a prototype. So that's a really important part of the invention process, is figuring out your inspiration, doing your research, and then making some models and testing them. And what's really important to know is that nowadays, it's often teams of people working together. So with this project, I was working with a product designer, someone who understands how do you work with a human and convert that into a product. We also worked with a podiatrist, someone who studies feet. And so what we had here was a real team of people. And what's interesting is everyone had a different perspective. Everyone brought something different to the table. And that's really important because we all have different experiences, and that different perspective is going to allow you to see a problem differently than someone else. And when you all talk together, that's when you can create something that's really innovative.